You are listening to the In Between Sales Calls podcast with Derek Shebby, episode 8. Hi, everyone. There's a trend right now to work from home. So if you're working from home or if you're part of a sales team that works from home, here are 14 success habits to start doing now if you're not doing them already. Let's start by transforming your home into an office. Tip number 1 is to find a room that's away from all that fun going on. That doesn't mean, by the way, you won't be having fun. I mean, do your best to stay away from the video game room. And I don't mean go to the common area. You don't want a spot where people could frequently walk past you during meetings. That could be very disruptive. Don't choose the room with Netflix in it if you can. I mean, you don't want to get sucked in on a binge-watchable show during the day. Maybe the best choice is your bedroom. Maybe there's an actual office that you have away from everything. Whatever it is, plan for a quiet area. And absolutely, you need to make it comfortable. So as soon as you find that area, make sure you get set up in there in a way where you can work for long periods of time, without being distracted, of course. Tip number 2 is to minimize background noise. You'll be surprised about the noises that happen where you live throughout the day, especially when you're usually not around to hear it. Garbage trucks, lawn mowers, gardeners, construction, Amazon packages arriving 6 times a day when the doorbell rings. How about your dog barking? I mean, if you have a pet, you got to find a way to keep them from making noise during any prospecting sessions or meetings you might have. The solution here is to get a headset. Most of them minimize background noise, so it can really help you out. Do your best to plan around the community schedule once you figure out when noises are really loud around your area. And make sure you know where that mute button is on your computer, your phone, and headset, just in case. Tip number 3 is planning out your background. You know, what they see behind you when you're talking on the screen. You should still be meeting with people visually. Plan on it. You're a salesperson. We need to make that human connection in order to make a friend. When you're meeting with your clients today, it's most likely at their office, and inside of it, you can find things that serve as ways to connect with them. You know, there's that picture of them on that fishing trip, or there's that award their company won, or there's that logo of their favorite sports team or Star Wars poster. Those have been great for you to find something to chat with them about. Things are going to be a little different when it comes to you, though. Wherever you have your virtual office set up, you need to make sure that it's neutral. Nothing political, no sports posters unless you know your client is a fan. Nothing that could elicit any feelings that could be considered bad for you. You're still making a first impression here. Don't forget that. Family pictures are great, inspirational messages are great, books are great. Having those behind you are great. Just don't make your background a distraction and something that could cause a bad first impression. You want that first impression to be that you're a good person that's unthreatening, easy to work with, professional, and cares about them and their business. Tip number 4 is to dress for success. Look, just because you're not showing up in the office anymore doesn't mean you shouldn't represent yourself and your company at the highest caliber. Just look in the mirror and ask yourself if you would buy the products you're selling based upon your general appearance. You're aiming to not create a distraction for your clients. They have an image of a professional person in their mind that they're meeting with. Make sure that you don't veer off too far off of that picture that they have in their mind. Tip number 6 is to make sure you have some healthy food in the house. If you were in outside sales, the chances of you going somewhere for lunch was probably pretty high. Lunch was also a 1-hour event typically. I mean, think 15 minutes to drive to your location, 30 minutes to eat and visit with a coworker, and 15 minutes again to get back to the office. You're working from home now. Things are different. Take advantage of all the health aspects that come with it. Make sure you have lunch easy to make and some snacks you can munch on throughout the day. Okay, now let's get serious about maximizing your sales efficiency from home. Tip number 7 is to get familiar with your sales tools. No matter how old you are, you must know how to use certain tools in sales. Since you're not in the office, you won't have someone a cube away that could come over and show you how to use some of these things. Here are some of the tools you must know. Don't worry, there's thousands of how-to videos on YouTube if you still need help. Let's start with email. That's number 1. You got to know how to use this thing. You need to know how to set up your email signature, reply to messages, and set up a meeting request. That last part is important. If you don't know how to schedule a meeting with attendees, raise that help me flag right now with your company or search it on YouTube like right now. The next tools you must know are how to use document-related tools. Microsoft Office like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Don't have those? No worries. Just use Google. Their tools are free and almost identical. Be sure to check out Google Drive. The last tool you need to master is your webinar software. Whether you're using Google Hangouts, Zoom, GoToMeeting, or WebEx, running these should be as natural for you as driving your car. Begin by learning how to start meetings. Show yourself on video, sharing presentations, learning how to use the settings. And don't skip figuring out how to share a meeting link with a customer. Sometimes those sort of things can really slow us down. Tip number 8 is to have a shared or recommended routine to follow every day. We used to call this the structured day, but things are a little bit different when you're working from home. Every company out there recommends you living your best life, and that doesn't mean work is life. It's always encouraged to plan for your family and relationships, plan for your health, plan for personal development, plan for your community, and plan for spiritual or giving back. Before you worked from home, you focused on work when you were at work. You focused on the rest when you were away from work. When you start working from home, you will find that there's less separation between your work life and your home life because you'll be at home for everything, right? You will actually be working more now that you're at home than you were before when you had to go to the office. I'm serious. You're going to be working a lot. That's what makes a routine so critical to your effectiveness as well as your sanity. Here's a general example of a routine that works, but I recommend that you or your sales leadership team come up with one that works best for you. Steal this if you like. 7 a.m., I recommend free time. Hey, why not exercise? You're not going to have to drive to the office anymore, right? 8 a.m., start your admin work. Prepare for the day. 9 a.m., that's when your cold calling phone blitz should start. Make sure you build in a few breaks in there so you can listen to the next episode of the In Between Sales Calls podcast. 10 a.m., same thing. Get back on the phones, cold calling phone blitz. 11 a.m. all the way to 3 is when I recommend you have your meetings scheduled for the day. The meetings will most likely be in a 30-minute increment as well. If you don't have meetings, it's really simple. You should be prospecting. Okay, at 12 noon, that's when I recommend you going to lunch because most of your customers are at lunch at that time too. What you're going to find during lunch is it's not going to take 1 hour. You're actually going to be able to eat lunch and put it together maybe in 15 minutes. So I recommend you use that extra time to learn something to improve your skills. Plan that. That's the key part. You have to schedule learning during lunch. Make it a lunch and learn. Remember, after lunch at 1 p.m., that's when you have your third meeting or your prospecting, and really that goes throughout until 3 o'clock when I recommend you finish. At 3 p.m., that's when you get back to administrative work. Follow up on things that you did throughout the day so you can make sure you're ready for the next day. At 4 p.m., why don't you check in with someone on your team to share the successes and wins you had for the day? This routine is very flexible, as you can see. Keep it simple. If you don't have a meeting scheduled, you should be prospecting. Every single day must be structured if you want to be effective, so take this seriously. Tip number 9 is to create a prospecting sequence that you can follow. A prospecting sequence is nothing more than a long-term strategy to win a prospect and to get a prospect to meet with you or whatever next step you're looking for. Here's an example sequence that you could follow. Step 1, send a cold email to a client giving them some value for their business. Step 2, if they open the email, then follow them on LinkedIn. Step 3, send them another email with more value for their business. Step 4, cold call them over the phone. Step 5, send a connection request on LinkedIn. Step 6, send them another email with more value to their business. Step 7, send them a message on LinkedIn for a brief call. Now that's just an example of a prospecting sequence using LinkedIn as part of the whole cycle. There's tons to choose from out there, and the main goal is for you and the rest of your sales team to see the long-term process involved in prospecting. The more this can be part of your routine, the more you'll see your prospecting efforts pay off. Tip number 10 is to pay more attention to delivering a great meeting in 30 minutes. You will find that virtual meetings run shorter than you'd think, so you need to be ready to make your time count. Have your presentation templates ready to go. Try not to spend too much time creating something from scratch, unless you have to. Be efficient and remember that your prospect has never seen it before. It's your job to bring it to life. Practice your presentation, role play, until you've got a solid meeting ready to go. And don't let your first presentation be in front of your prospect. Tip number 11 is to have your follow-up messages locked in. You are going to become a prospecting beast. You are going to be on more appointments than you ever have before. The last thing you want to do is to not follow up after each of these. Plan your follow-up emails ready to thank your prospects for their time, whether it's after the meeting you just set, an appointment you just ran, a proposal presentation, or getting a deal. Have your templates ready to go because we can often take way too much time crafting these long emails. Don't let that be you. Tip number 12 is to schedule regular check-in meetings. Like I said before, we salespeople need human connection. Check in with a peer or a colleague on a regular basis. It will help keep yourself grounded from negative thinking. Sometimes we make things too complicated, and when we're by ourselves, our minds tend to go to dark places. If you can do it, lunch meetings end up being that much more special. So make sure you're scheduling those things frequently into every single week. Tip number 13 is to feed your brain. Being a salesperson is tough, even a successful one. You need to build in time daily to wash yourself of all these negative thoughts going on in your brain. Had a tough sales call? Had a bad meeting? Lose a deal? Plan to feed your brain positive thoughts so you can stay energized and in a good mood for the rest of your day. This is something successful people sprinkle throughout the day. It could be in the morning, during your lunch, or it could be at the end of the day. You choose. Me, I like to listen to energizing music to keep my thoughts focused on the good. Tip number 14, the last tip, is to always run your business based upon the data. Your sales business is like a car. It needs fuel or energy to keep it going. Think of that fuel as prospects. If you don't have a full amount of prospects in the tank, you need to get busy prospecting. Pay attention to how many calls it takes you to get a meeting. Pay attention to how many appointments you need to get a demo. Pay attention to how many proposals you present to get a deal. This data is your business. This data is based upon your skill sets, and in all cases, they are based upon your own mastery of the sales fundamentals. See if they improve over time. Okay, that's it for episode 8. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to join you on your sales journey. See you next time. Hey, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, then you have to come check out my free 5-day sales training course of my proven Sales in 21 Days program. I designed it to help you make more money in sales. Whether you're looking for a fast start or just looking to sharpen your skills, you can't afford to miss it. Come get free access today over at www.salesin21days.com. That's www.salesin21days.com. I'd love to have you join the program. See you there.